Hello.
Jarmo, can you tell us what the specifics are of the Domi trade? Is that the only deal you got done today?
Yeah, and I can't get into the details just yet because it's not official. It was a last-minute thing, and it's the trade call hasn't been made and hasn't been approved by the league. But Domi's going to Carolina if everything gets approved, and we anticipate that happening. They have a lot of, I think that they said 33 trades in the queue, so we might have to wait a little while. But we wish Max the best and thank him for everything he did for us, and yeah, we'll get to the details once we get the trade approved.
Am I correct to assume you're bringing back some money of Domi to help with Carolina's cap situation?
Yeah, at this time of the year, with so many teams being cap squeezed, that's usually part of the deal, and it was at this one as well.
Yeah. And why do you think it took so long? Did you set a price and wait for people to come to it, or how did it take so long into the day?
Well, sometimes things take a little longer. Sometimes they get done sooner, and this one took it right to the wire. But the main thing is we got it done.
Speaking of the cap space, Jarmo, did you feel that did you take a lot of calls from teams that were looking for relief?
Not so many. I mean, we could have brokered a deal with our cap space if the offer was right. Obviously, we have plenty of cap space, but it's also there's a certain monetary value that we put on picks, and that has to be met as well. So it has to be worth our while. The pick that we would be getting for not only the cap space but the cash amount that we'd be taking.
The goaltending situation has been a big thing all season. Obviously, Korpisalo is still here after the deadline. Is that a direct result of Merzlik's situation, or?
It's a combination of many different things. Obviously, we need two capable goalies here at all times, and Elvis is injured right now, and he's out for a little bit. And we got Jave Berube here and Korpisalo, so we should be in good hands and have two healthy goalies for tomorrow's game, and we'll see where it goes after that.
It's been described as a seller's market. Did it feel like a seller's market to you?
Yeah, I guess it's always specific to that situation where the needs meet with two teams. You could be a seller or in a good position as a seller, just one team being real hungry and real interested in your player. But it's always an interesting time of the year.
Just in the grand scheme of things, as your reset continues to move forward here, what did you get accomplished today that you like, or what were you hoping to do maybe beyond this? Can you just frame it in terms of the reset?
Well, I said all along that I think that the moves that we're looking to make are more like off-season trades. There's not a lot of teams at this time, especially the ones that are gearing up for the playoffs, that want to give up anything on their roster, and we have plenty of prospects that will take a little bit of time before they're going to make an impact on the NHL level. So what we would be looking for is probably a player that's ready to make that impact right now. We have some coming in, we believe, in Marchenko and Ken Johnson that we hope and believe that could be part of our group next year. But any other additions on the other parts of the team, probably an off-season move. So we thought there may be an outside chance that you get into a deal that could benefit us down the stretch this year, but also into the future. But they just weren't available right now, which we thought would be the case.
And how many calls did you field on Line A, and how many teams did you have to tell he's not available, or do they just know?
I don't get into the calls between the GMs. There's always calls, as I always say this, there's regular calls between the GMs, and names come up and names get discussed, and sometimes the conversations are short and sometimes they're a little bit longer, and that's just part of the business, and that's part of the confidential talks that we have among the GMs.
Yeah. Were there teams trying to get your veteran players from you, however?
They can always try, but we have a good group of guys here. We believe in our group, and we want to grow together. And a big part of that is the leadership from the older guys that we have, and some of the emerging stars, and some guys that have already established themselves. But we think we have a great chemistry among our guys in the room, and that's a big part of building.
Yeah, kind of to build off of that, coming into this season, I think a lot of people predicted this team to be one of the worst in the NHL, to be honest with you. And right now, still with the tail end of that playoff mix, you've won 32 games. You've seen a team really come together here. Just A, how happy has that made you to see this team go through the progress that it's gone through this year? And B, does that have any impact on just as you approach the trade deadline, as far as maybe want to keep this group together more so than maybe if you'd really struggled?
I think we believed in our group right from the start, and I don't think we've surprised ourselves. We believe that we can be in the hunt to make the playoffs. We know that reset means that we were going to have to be a little bit patient and grow with this group, and our best days are ahead. There's no question about it, but I think everybody in our room believes in what we're doing right now and believes in our plan, and they want to be part of it. So that's the great thing about our group right now. We started that with Zach Werenski signing here, and Boone Jenner and Oliver Bjorkstrand, and some of those guys that are cornerstones of our team right now and the leadership group, and hearing what Gus Nyquist, for example, said before the deadline. Those are great things. Guys want to be here. They want to be part of it, and they're proud to be Blue Jackets. And like I said, our best days are ahead.
Jarmo, you acquired Max Domi a couple of years ago for Josh Anderson. When you look back on that now, did you get from Max Domi what you expected to get? Was he the player you intended?
I don't want to speculate on that. Sometimes you make good trades. Sometimes you make not as good trades, and that happens in the league a lot. And we got a good player for 2 years, and Max Domi is a proven player in this league, and he had some very good nights for us, and was a good player for us. And like I said, we wish him nothing but the best. But I'm not going to be start grading our own trades.
Just to clarify, did you say that there were 33 in the queue at Central Registry?
If I heard right, yeah.
Okay. And then we talked about the defense all year, that it was a young group coming in. Seemed like that they have made some strides throughout the year. Was that something that you were maybe looking to try to address to get a little bit better here?
Well, we know that we have to grow in some areas, and defense is probably part of it, keeping the puck out of our net, and we can grow with that from inside as well. We have a lot of young defensemen that will get better and will get stronger and will be better defenders as a result. So that way we're going to improve from inside as well. We're always looking to improve every position. If there's the way to make our team better through a trade or a free agent signing or a draft pick or whatever it may be, we'll try to do that. That's what we get together for every day with our management group. So it doesn't stop here at the deadline. It just we change direction a little bit right now. There's a lot of players that got traded at the deadline that you pretty much know they will not be able to continue with that team next year because of their cap situation. So they're rentals. So now we're going to focus on watching those guys, evaluating those guys, and see who will hit the UFA market next summer and who may be a good fit with us, and we'll keep analyzing the depth charts of the other teams to see if there's any trade opportunities with the mix that we have and a match with what they might need from us and we could use from them. Thank you.
Welcome to the Blue Jackets trade deadline special. Dylan Tyrer here with you alongside Bob McElligott and Jody Shelley. We just heard from Blue Jackets general manager Jarmo Kekalainen. Nothing official, but being reported that Max Domi has been traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. What are your guys' thoughts on this move? Jody, let's start with you. Obviously, we thought some other things might happen for the Blue Jackets, but it turns out right now it's just Max Domi. How do you like this move for Carolina and the Blue Jackets?
Well, I like it for the Blue Jackets just because he's going to be his contract is up. You got to get something for Max Domi. It was interesting. Jarmo talked about a roster player. That's something that he wants to get. He values what he has. He understands his assets and what they're worth. So, and he's in a what's he called, a retool. So, you got to get those players that can play. It's not just draft picks; it's guys that have been in the organization for a couple of years. Or in this case, the kid they picked up is at Boston College, and he's a prospect. So those are important pieces. And for Carolina, they're getting a great playmaker. How does he fit in that system? It's very strict. It's very structured. I think it'll be great for Max because that's a team that has a chance to push. And with his skill set, I think they'll be surprised at what he can bring.
Yeah, I agree with Jody fully. I mean, you've got to get something from Max Domi. I mean, we've been talking about he was likely the guy that was going to go, him and Korpisalo. That one didn't happen. But with Max, there are more wingers that are coming in here. I mean, Kent Johnson's coming in here. Kirill Marchenko's coming. Voronkov is coming in 2 years. So you've got to start to move some guys out for guys that are coming. And Max did a great job while he was here, but the value is what they got today. I mean, that's they did what they could do, and they got something for him. As you were talking about with Carolina, yeah, he is a good playmaker. They've got a very talented team. But let's not forget, he's also a guy that will get right up in your face when he needs to. And they're going to the playoffs, and they want to win the Stanley Cup. You've got to get some guys like that. You have to have at least one on your roster. The Hurricanes now do.
What about the players that weren't dealt by the Blue Jackets? It was rumored that Jonas Korpisalo could be going somewhere. Dean Kukin, he was another hot name. You surprised to see that the Blue Jackets ended up hanging on to him, Jody?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, and Dean Kukin, to me, is one of those players that, you want a big, sturdy defenseman in the playoffs, and he can provide that. But, I guess the team just wasn't willing to pay what they were asking. And I like Dean Kukin. I think he's the type of defenseman here with Columbus that once you move him along, you're going to miss him. Because he's no nonsense, he's no maintenance. He's a guy that just does his work out there. And there's an upside to him. So I don't mind that at all. And you can speak to Jonas. I think you had a great take on Jonas Korpisalo and what it means where he's at right now, Bob.
Well, I think that, with Jonas Korpisalo, he's been such a good teammate here for years. And then this year is just the worst year that he could possibly have. I mean, he had zero luck this year. He started in training camp. He had an injury. He didn't start on time. Elvis took the spot right out of training camp. When he was healthy and in games, either the team didn't play well in front of him or he just didn't have a good night. He was out with injury. He was out with COVID. Every time he turned around, it was something for Jonas Korpisalo. So there really wasn't going to be a return there for him. And now Elvis Merzlikins is hurt, and you've already had to call up J.F. Berube from Cleveland. This gives you the opportunity to still continue to play an NHL goaltender, and it gives him a chance to get his game back. Whether he comes back here as a free agent or whether he goes somewhere else, this is a great opportunity for him. He knows he's going to be the guy right now while Elvis is out. He's got to take it and make the most of that. So they could have dealt him, and that would have been one thing, but I'm glad he's still here.
Yeah, his value isn't where it was 4 months ago, and so that's something they got to work through.
Well, for those wondering, the reported return for Max Domi, by the way, from the Carolina Hurricanes, defenseman Aiden Herchuk. He is a freshman defenseman, just finished up his freshman year at Boston College, had a goal and 7 assists for 8 points there. He was drafted 94th overall, third round in this past summer's NHL entry draft by Carolina. By all accounts, a very mobile defenseman, a guy who likes to play physical, about 5'11", 190 pounds. And from what I've heard, Boston College this year had a really, really deep defensive unit full of upperclassmen. So he didn't necessarily have the greatest opportunity this season to put up points and play a whole lot. But going forward, the expectation is that he'll likely be Boston College's number one. So definitely a nice add to the Blue Jackets pipeline out of Hockey East. But before we wrap things here, because I know you guys have a flight to catch to go to Pittsburgh, the Blue Jackets have games to play, right?
Always in a hurry to go to Pittsburgh, Dylan. Always.
There is action after the trade deadline. Everybody was anticipating this NHL trade deadline, but there are real hockey games to be played, remember. What are your guys' thoughts on other moves around the National Hockey League? Do you have a favorite or maybe an underrated favorite that really helps a contender?
I'm not sure if it's underrated, but Tampa picking up Hagel and Paul, quietly to me, that team knows how to win.
Yeah.
I know Florida has got a lot. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of sweetness there. But to me, that Tampa Bay pickup, those two pickups, to play there with that goaltender, their defense, and the way they understand how to win, that's to me, that's a big deal. Toughness in the playoffs, understanding the metal you have to play with, and what it takes to grind through. I think right now they sit in the East as my favorite.
Were you sorry, Bob? Okay. Were you surprised by how much Chicago Chicago got for Brandon Hagel? A couple of first-round picks.
Yes, but I was even more pleasantly surprised to see the reaction from his teammates in the locker room when he left Chicago. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize he was that important of a player there. And that says to me that there was a lot of teams after him. They understand what they're getting, and they know what they did with Coleman and that line, Goodrow, the past couple of seasons. So they understand that. And I think understanding that in a locker room, who cares what you pay?
Yeah.
You want to win a third Stanley Cup and make history, you go do that.
Yeah, I mean, the window is short, right?
Yeah.
It's not open for long. They know that, and you're right. We were talking about this earlier. That has the potential to be Goudreau and Coleman from the past 2 years. When they added those two players, they were a different team than the one the Blue Jackets swept. They were a team that won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and it was not a coincidence. Those guys were a big factor. But I like that pickup with Minnesota getting Marc-Andre Fleury because, look, Minnesota's had a good year. You want to talk about a team who has a limited window? The buyouts that they just gave to Ryan Suter and Zach Parise are going to come back to haunt them really soon. So their time is now if they want to take a run at this. So they went for it. Bill Guerin, he played with Marc-Andre Fleury. They won a cup together in Pittsburgh. He gets him to come there and play. Look, Minnesota early in the year was sniffing around for goaltenders. For anybody that's surprised that they needed to make a change of goaltending, they knew it for months, and they finally were able to make it today. That gives them a guy that has that experience. Cam Talbot's still there. Mm-hmm. He'll play some important games down the stretch, I'm sure, but Marc-Andre Fleury has done it before, and you talk about this. That experience at playoff time, to have that guy in your room. And Marc-Andre Fleury is a guy that adds to any room that he is in with his personality. That'll be big for them.
I agree, and I think that, again, with Guerin, he was such a good locker room guy that he understands.
He's why they won a cup.
Exactly.
He came there and he helped Sid learn to be a captain.
Exactly. And when you get that and you add that dynamic, to me, Fleury, I've met him briefly, but he seems like the greatest guy in the National Hockey League. So forget about the goaltending. The boost that they feel right now in Minnesota, the players are a little taller, they're a little more excited, they're a little quicker, there's more energy. It's a perfect little push for them.
Yeah, I love that Marc-Andre Fleury to Minnesota move too. I think it's going to be a big boost for them. They're obviously they're a good team. They're a heavy team. I think they'll be good in the playoffs, and they needed that goaltending. So I'm happy to see Fleury get another shot.
I hope he plays Saturday night.
Yeah, right.
They got tougher too.
Yes, Delorier,
and bigger. So yeah, there'll be a handful.
All right, guys, I'll let you catch your flight now. Thanks for this. We appreciate the
Thanks,
time.
Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan.
All right, remember, Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins going at it tomorrow. A watch party for that game at Standard Hall, so make sure to check that out. Doors opening at 6 o'clock ahead
Sounds
of puck
like
drop.
fun.
Yeah, Standard, right?
Want to stay?
No, let's go to Pittsburgh.
All right, you can catch the game on Valley Sports Ohio. Jody, Shelley, and Jeff Rimmer on the call, and then Bob McElligott with the play-by-play on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.